This music video lecture is brought to you on the platform of English Section Choir First by Okelerin, Ogbomoso. I will be taking you through Module 2, Lecture 4. My name is Oladipo Stephen and I will be your tutor for this video lecture. Welcome to Music Theory class. In the previous video lecture, you were introduced to a number of things which are why you need to study music, the functions of bar lines, measures, ledger lines, space notes and lines notes, music alphabets and note names, a music piece, different types of clef, and you were also introduced to music terms. But in this video lecture, you will be introduced to some other things which are very, very important where music is concerned. One of it is the beat. You'll be introduced to what it means, what a beat means. You'll be introduced to a whole note, half note, quarter note, meter, and time signatures, under which you'll be introduced to different time signature, different types of time signature, 4/4 time signature, 2/4 time signature, 3/4 time signature, and so on. Also, you'll be introduced to how to count your quarter notes, how to count your half notes, how to count your whole notes, how to count your rest, and to the effect of dots on your notes, dotted whole notes, dotted half notes, and dotted quarter notes. I will first of all start by advising you to go through other videos we've done in the time past, if you have not gone through them, so that you will be able to follow up all the exercises we've given and the lessons we've taught in the past. So let's start by defining what a beat means. So according to the Wikipedia in music and in music theory, the beat is the basic unit of time. The pulse, which is a regularly repeating event. According to Wikipedia in music and music theory, the beat is the basic unit of time, the pulse of the mensural level. The beat of nearly any piece of music is easy to feel. It's what sets your toe tapping, and it's what makes you dance. The beat is a regular pulse, like your heartbeat. As I'm talking now, your heart is beating. That is an example of a beat, and it can last throughout a piece of music. Speaking of pulse, did you know that music with fast beat makes your heartbeat faster and speed up your breathing? And music with slow beat makes your heart and breathing slow down. It is true. The beat is music pulse, like yours. It doesn't stop until performance is over. So that is a beat. An example of beat is how your heart is beating. That's an example of beat. And it does not stop until performance is over. Let's move on as we talk about note. In music, a note is a small bit of sound similar to a syllable in speaking a language. So when it comes to music, a note is a small bit of sound. It's like syllable. A note is like syllable in music. You have syllable. For example, in the first two lines of the song, "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, How I Wonder What You Are," there are 14 notes, one for each syllable. Twin is one syllable, cool is another syllable, the second twin is another syllable, cool is another syllable. If you break it down and count it, it will make 14 notes. Let's talk about the different types of notes we have. And there are only 3 different note lengths you have to know at first. These are the basic and they are very important. When you get yourself familiar with this, you will be able to know the other types of notes, but these are the basic. You will notice that the half notes and the quarter notes have 2 examples. Just keep reading to find out why. From longest to shortest, the notes are in music a whole note, that's the American way of doing it, a whole note, or semi-breve, which is the British way of calling it, American way of calling it means a whole note. When it comes to British, it is called semi-breve. So in music, a whole note is a note represented by a hollow over note head, like half note, which is also called minim, and no note stem. As you can see in the first figure here, as you can see, is called a whole note because it does not have stem with it. It doesn't have stem. So this is an example of a whole note, and this is the corresponding rest for the whole note. So it does not have the stem as a half note has a stem. In music, a whole note represented by a hollow overhead like a half note, meaning and no stem, does not have stem. Its length is equal to 4 beats in 4/4 time signature. Considering a 4/4 time signature, in the case of a whole note, the whole note has 4 beat value. It has 4 beat value. Considering 4/4 time signature, that is very, very important. What about half note? In music, a half note, when you say half note, is an American way of saying half note, but when you say meaning, is a British way of saying half note. Now you will notice a difference between this whole note and half note. The half note is what we refer to as stem. It's called stem. S-T-E-M. It's called stem. Stem. So that is the major difference between whole note and half note. In music, half note is a note played for half duration of a whole note. I hope you will not be confused, because we said whole note has a beat value of 4. From the word half, it means the half of a whole note, and if you divide 4 by 2, then you will get 2. So the half note suggests that it has a beat value of 2. And if you want to pronounce it the American way, you call it half note. The British way, you call it minim. Let's go to quarter note. A quarter note in an American way is called quarter note, but in British we call it crotchet. So I can be using this interchangeably as we go on in this video lecture. I hope you will not be confused. A half note is also the same as minim, while a whole note is also the same as semi-breve, and a quarter note is also the same as crotchet. So this is a crotchet, this is a minim, and this is a semi-breve. This is semi-breve. So a quarter note has a beat value of 1. It has a beat value of 1, and you can see the difference. Often musicians will say that the crotchet is 1 beat, but this is not always correct, as the beat is indicated by the time signature. You cannot say that quarter note is always 1, half note is always 2, while your whole note is always 4. Their beat value depends on the time signature. Take note of that. It depends on the time signature. Although for beginners, they will always tell you that the quarter note has a beat value of 1, but as you go on, you will discover that all this note does not have a fixed beat value for them. Their beat value depends on the time signature. So the difference, you can also tell the difference between a quarter note and a half note, because if you see the head is colored, is in black, while this one is in white, and this is black. So you can see the difference between them. Let's move on as we talk about the note head. The note head, not a tough one. Just like with people, the head is the round part where almost everything is happening. It is the position of the note head which gives us the pitch we need. Or in the case of the rhythm clef, the type of instrument. We have talked about the rhythm clef in the previous video lectures, so I expect you to know what I'm talking about when I said rhythm clef. So when you talk about a note head, it is very significant. It is very significant because it tells us the type of note we are dealing with. As you can see in the video presentation, notice how the shapes of the note heads are similar. Good. Just take a few seconds and observe the note head and observe the stem and so on. You can see that some have holes in the middle, some are filled, but honestly they are not the same. Their size does not matter. A whole note, the size of the hole does not matter. What is very important is it shaded? And you can see that even the whole note is a bit different from this. And this one has a head which is not shaded, while this has a shaded head. So those are the difference between the notes. Let's move on as we talk about stem up and stem down. Stem up and stem down. The stem can go either up or down. When a note is on the third line of the staff or below, the stem goes up from right side of the note. Putting the stem on the wrong side of the note head is one of the most common mistakes made. Make sure you look at this figure. If the notes are on the third line or above, the stem goes down on the left side. So when the note is on the third line, it goes down, the stem will be up. As you can see on figure A, the stem should be up. And when it is third line and above, the stem will be down. So that is the description we are being given here. As you can see on the third line, then the stem, as you go up, it goes down. On the third line, as it goes down, it's just in like an opposite direction. Let's move on as you answer some few questions to test your knowledge. What is the beats in music? Name the notes you learned from the shortest to the longest. Which notes have stems? The stems of notes above the third line go where? And notes on the third line have stem which goes where? So you should be able to answer that. If you are unable to answer, you just go back and learn and just learn more and repeat the video. And if you are able to answer it very well, you have these following answers as the correct ones. Just check it with your answer and see whether you are correct or not. Let's move to rest. That is very important. Rest is a musical symbol that marks the absence of a note. You see, in music, the rest is as important as the note because both of them make a good music. If you have a music piece without rest, it means you are just singing all of the time. You are not observing any rest. It can make the artist to become bored with the music, or he becomes restless from the beginning of the music to the end. So rest is very important in music. Without silence, there can be no sound. And without sound, there can be no silence. And silence is as important part of music. And now you know how to show silence in music using whole, half, quarter rest. How do you do that? Instead of you to sing or to sing a note for a particular beat value, you can remain silent for that same beat value. That is how to observe the silence in music. A rest is a musical symbol that marks the absence of a note. Rests are written in a measure where no note is played. Unlike music notes, they are measured in length, quarter, half, and whole notes. Let's move on as we learn other things about rest. There are different types of rest, as we just discussed different types of notes: the whole note, the half note, and the quarter note. We have their corresponding rest. For whole note, we have whole rest, which is 4 beats rest. You have to rest for 4 beats. We also have half rest, which is 2 beat rest, and quarter rest, which is 1 beat rest. And you can see them in this video presentation. As you can see on the slide, this is O beat, O rest, and it means that you remain silent for a measure of 4 beats, for a beat value of 4, not measure, sorry, for beat value of 4, you remain silent. All note, all rest are 4 beats long and look like this, as you can see. But in case of half rest, it means that you have half rest, it is 2 beats long. The half rest is 2 beats long, and it look like this, as you can see. And quarter rest are 1 beat long. They are 1 beat long, and it looks like this. You may have challenges in drawing this quarter beat rest, and it has been illustrated here. If you have your Z and your C, you can combine it together to have your, that is how to draw it. It's something of this nature. I may not be able to get it very well, but I hope you are going to practice it on your own. So that is the illustration on that is how to draw it. Now, in order for you to be able to remember how your whole rest looks like, it's just like a heart that is put on a plank. Let's say you have a plank, you put this heart, and you turn it upside down. You turn it over, the upper part is facing the plank, so you can have, that is the picture of a whole rest. In case of half rest, you have a cap, like you have a hat. Somebody is putting on a hat. That's what this figure is illustrating. The half rest looks like a hat. So as I said earlier on, making a pattern, it is the trickiest symbols and miss them. Just make a letter Z and put C under it, and you get the correct symbol for that. How do we represent this rest on the staff? You can see it. The whole rest hang from the 4th line of the staff. The half rest sits on the 3rd line. This one, while this one is hanging, this one is sitting. The one hanging is what we refer to as the whole rest, while the one that is sitting is referred to as the half rest. And notice the brim of the hat and the edges of the O are gone when the half and the whole rest are written on proper line. Now, if you look at this, you can see how it is represented. This is your quarter rest. So I want you to pick a piece of paper and try to draw this so that you get yourself familiar. You don't only look at them, but you write them. You practice. Just continue to practice them. You will get it. You will be able to draw them over time. It's very, very interesting. Music is interesting. So let's have this chart. As you can see on the video presentation, we have a whole note. I hope now you will be able to know the difference between the American way of saying it and the British way of saying it. The whole note that is according to the American, while the semi-brief according to the British. So the rest name is a whole note for the first one. It's also called semi-brief. This is a symbol on his staff. The symbol on the staff, as you can see, is hanging. The rest length is for 4 beats. The rest for 4 beats long. And this is the note symbol. In this case, it is no more rest. but you have to express it as a bit value. As you can see, the pointer is pointing to it. This is just showing the corresponding rest, and this is the bit value. So if I want to, for example, sing the word go, and I want to do it on do, and I want to express this note symbol, it means that I should sound it for a bit value of 4. In that case, you are going to have do. I've sounded it for 4-bit value. Let me do it again. Just look at the video, you see how my fingers are moving. Do, 4-bit value. That is 1 bar under 4/4 time signature. But what about a case when you want to rest for a bit value 4 bits long? You want to rest for 4 bits long. It means you won't sing, you won't play as in the case of someone playing an instrument. It means you have to rest for a bit value of 4. Let's do it again. The same is applicable for half notes. It is also refers to meaning. As you can see, it's sitting on the line. This half note is sitting on the line. It has the base value of 2, and this is the symbol for the note. So instead of singing do, because it has a bit value of 2, you are going to just do it for a 2-bit long. Do, 2-bit long. The rest just observe silence for 2-bit long. So that's how to do it. The same thing is applicable to quarter note. When you have a crochet, has a bit value of 1. This is the symbol as I've explained earlier on, and this is the corresponding notes symbol. Then what about when you have a quaver, which is your 8th note? In that case, this symbol is used to represent the 8th note, and this is the corresponding note symbol, and this is the bit value. Alright, if your quarter note is expressed as ta, which is 1 bit value under 4/4 time signature, how will you be able to represent your 8th note, which is your quaver? It means that you have 2 of your 8th notes in your quarter note. It means you have 2 quavers in a crochet. How will you be able to do that? If this is your ta for 1, ta, then your quarter note will be titi, titi, titi. You have 2 titi in 1 ta, which is representing your quaver, and it means that you observe silence for half of it. This may seem a bit complicated, but you are going to get it as you move on in this video. Don't be discouraged yet, just continue to learn more. And this is a symbol for semiquaver, rest, and this is the corresponding note symbol for semiquaver. This is the bit value, and we have the mid semiquaver. You may not come across this often, but it is very important for us to know it, which is 1/8 bit value as the value of the bit, and this is the note symbol. Let's move on as we learn more, but before that, I want you to answer these following questions. They are self-assessment questions. Number 1, what does the rest show? Number 2, which 3 rests did you learn? Number 3, how many beats does a quarter rest get? Then how many beats does a half rest get? Number 5, how many beats does a whole rest get? Which line does a whole rest hang from? And which line does a whole half rest sit on? If you are able to answer this, you should be able to obtain these following answers. Let's move on as we talk about meter. At the beginning of every piece of music is what is called the time signature or meter, which gives you information about the piece of music you're about to play. The time signature or meter tells you how many beats are in each measure. The time signature also tells you that what kind of notes get one beat. This is very important. This is very important. You know, I said earlier on that you cannot say a quarter note has a beat value of 1 while a whole note has a beat value of 4. You cannot really say that. What determines their beat value is the time signature or the meter. And if you observe these time signatures, you have a number at the top and a number at the bottom. The top number tells you how many beats will be in each measure. I hope you are able to recollect from the previous lessons you were introduced to what a bar and a measure means. So the top number tells you how many beats will be in each measure. So in this example, as you can see in the slide with 4/4 time signature, there will be 4 beats in each bar considering this time signature, and in 3/4 there will be 3 beats in each bar, while in 2/4 time signature there will be 2 beats in each bar. So the number at the top is always telling you how many beats you have in a bar. How many beats? The top number is the meter, almost anything, but the most common ones are the 4, 3, 2 and 6 in that order. These are not the only time signature we have. There are many of them, but these are only few. The bottom number tells you which note gets 1 beat. In case this is telling you that the quarter note has 1 beat, this is also telling you that quarter note has 1 beat, and this is also telling you that quarter note has 1 beat. Another way of saying 1/4 is quarter note. When you are talking about quarter note, you are talking about 1/4. And how do you represent that? Shaded, then have line. That is your quarter note. Take note of this shaded head. That is your quarter note. It means that in this time signature, the quarter note is equal to 1. It has a beat value of 1. It has a beat value of 1. There are several possible numbers for the bottom of the line signature. The most common are 4, 2, 8, and 4 being far most common. Most often you will see 4, although that is not the only number you will see when time signature in music is concerned. When you look at the following example, you will see how the words and music fall in certain patterns. So the time signature will determine the time signature you have for a particular musical piece depends on the pattern of the music. Let's move on as we talk about 4/4 time signature. This meter is more common than all other meters by a long way. If you are a beginner, you will most likely be working with this time signature for quite a while before moving on to others. We are going to consider Mary Had a Little Lamb, which is a very common. Mi, re, do, re, mi, re, 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 mi, so, Mary had a little. Now, if you look at the pattern of this music, you will discover that the pattern of the song has a 4/4 time signature. Me, re, ha, that's a bar. Li, to, lamb, li, to, lamb, li, to, lamb. So the pattern of the song is what gives it its time signature. We also have other patterns like a song that is a familiar song, Yield Not into Temptation, but that one, because of the pattern, with the pattern has 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yield not to temptation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. So it is the pattern of the song that will tell whether it should have 4/4 time signature, 3/4, 6/8, or other time, different time signature, and so on. Let's talk about common time. Sometimes they may not put the time signature in form of numbers. It can be in form of letter, and when you see that in most cases you have 4 times signature we see written on the staff. And when you have it like that, because 4 time is so common, you will often see C in place of the time signature, which stand for common. C stand for common, and it look like what you can see on the slide. That is 4. The C is telling you that this is a 4 time signature. So when you see C on your staff, it doesn't mean that you are playing on key C, but it does mean that you have 4 time signature. Let's move on as we talk about 2/4 time signature. As you can see in the example, this is telling you that you have 2 beats in this bar, and this is telling you that the quarter note has a beat value of 1. Because if you bring it out, let's do a simple mathematical equation. If we bring it out, your 4/4, your 2/4 can be equals to 2 multiplied by 1/4, and this 1/4 can represent what you know as your quarter note, because even from the word quarter means 1/4, so it can be your quarter. Don't mind my pen. Don't mind my pen. So it can be your quarter note. So it means 2 of your quarter note in a bar, 2 of your quarter note in a bar, 2 of your quarter note in a bar. 1, 2, the bar is completed. 1, 2, the bar is completed. 1, 2, the bar is completed. Do not forget that for because the bottom number is quarter note, and it signifies that your quarter note is 1. For this is your half note for 4 times signature. This will take the beat value of 2. It will take the beat value of 2. So you have train, code, lead, 2, star. Train, code, lead, 2, star. 1, 2. Let's move on as we learn about 3/4. For 3/4 times signature, you have 3 of your quarter notes in a bar. If you bring it out, you can say 3 multiplied by 1/4. And do not forget that this is your quarter note. Quarter is equal to quarter. You have quarter notes. It means you have 3 of this quarter note in a bar. 1, 2, 3. The bar is completed. But in this case, as you can see, the dotted, when you have a dot with notes, it means that you divide such a note by 2 and add it to that particular note. Let's say you have half notes which has a beat value of 2, and you add a dot. It means divide that beat value, original beat value, which is 2, by 2. If you divide 2 over 2, you are going to get 1. So you add that 1 to the original note, so it's going to give you 3 bits. Do you understand what I just explained now? Alright, let me explain again. Let me use quarter note. Let me use quarter note so that you can understand. You know that considering 4/4 times signature, or 3/4 times signature, if you have a quarter note, it has a beat value of 1. It has a beat value of 1. It has a beat value of 1. But when you dot that quarter note that you have dot, if you dot it like this, what is going to become? What this is going to become? What is going to become is that you divide this by 2. It means you divide it by 2. Divide it by 2. Half of it. Find the half of it. If you divide it by 2, it's going to give you what? It's going to give you half. It's going to give you half. Then when it gives you half, add that half to this again, which is going to give you 1 and half. So that is what your dotted quarter notes will become 1.5. That is why we have 1.5 plus half making 2, plus this one making 3. Therefore, you have 3 notes in this bar. 1.5, half, 1. I hope you are getting as we are moving on. Do not be discouraged if you are unable to get this. Don't be discouraged. All you need is to go through them. You may not be able to get all this first time you are watching it. You may need to go through them again and again. So if you are getting some understanding, you should be able to answer this. What is another name for meter? What does the time signature appear? Where does this time signature appear? What information does the time signature give? Which are the 3 common time signatures? What does the top number tells us? What does the bottom number tells us? Why are different meters used? These are some of the self-assessment questions we have, and if you are able to answer that, you should be you just check if your answer corresponds to this. If the video is running fast, you can pause it here to check your answer. If it's running faster than the way you are checking, you can just check it here. Just pause it. Let's move on. Now that you know the note lengths and time signatures, we can move on to the counting system. The counting system is very helpful, especially for difficult rhythms. Every time I have a student count a difficult passage out loud, it becomes much easier. When you count, do it rhythmically and tap your foot with a steady beat at the same time. The rhythms will be using at first won't be tough, so you can get a good idea of how the system works. Gradually, I will introduce more and more difficult rhythms on which to practice this counting system. The good news is that you only have to know how to count to 4, the length of a measure, that is 4 time signature in case of 4 time. And because we don't really need a specific pitch for this exercise, we use the one line rhythm clef for the examples. You may have to go back to the first and second video lectures for recollection and understanding of rhythm clef. As I said earlier on, if you have not gone through them, you may be having challenges in these explanations. Tapping your foot is one of the things beginning musicians and masters have in common. It is what keeps your rhythms the right length and keeps you synchronized with others you may be playing with. It's the foot tap. If you're in a large group in which 20 or more people tapping their feet sounds like a marching army. If you are playing a solo guitar, maybe a blues tune, you can stomp your foot on beats 2 and 4 to add little percussion to your song. Either way, if you tap your foot, your performance will be better for it. If you are not used to tapping, it will take a little concentration and a little coordination, but keep with it even if it's difficult at first. Soon you will be tapping your foot without thinking about it. If you don't tap or keep some rhythmic movement going, you are pretty much guessing where the beat is. What you're after is precision. Onto the counting system. The counting is very important. Let's consider a time signature. As you can see on the slide, try the tapping. Many people have challenges when it comes to rhythm because they are not used to tapping. But if you have been watching all these professional musicians and instrumentalists, you will find they are tapping their foot as they are playing or as they are singing. That is very, very important so that you can get along with the beat and you not get off beat. So let's try it. I want you to start tapping your foot as I count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let me show you how your leg should be going with my hands. In case you aren't getting it, you may not be able to see my foot, but let me use my hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the way to do it. Just keep at it, and the more you do it, you are going to be able to get. You can practice this for about 5 minutes so that you can get familiar with rhythm. And when you do that, it means you are able to count 4 time signature with your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. After the count of 4, you have completed a bar. Then you count another 4, another bar, count another 4, another bar. Let me give you a simple exercise. How many quarter note makes 3 bar? That should give you 12, because you have 4 quarter notes in a bar, and if you have 3 bars, it means 4 times 3 making 12. Let's move on as we talk about quarter note count, reading clef. The count is basically the same as beat. So in 4/4 time, or in any time signature with 4 as the bottom number, the beat is the same as quarter note. Here is what a measure of quarter note looks like with the proper counting. Just do this on your own. You know, I helped you to do the other one, give you an example. Just try this on your own. It's simple and straightforward. At the beginning of the measure, the count begins again at 1. Don't forget to tap your foot as you say the number out loud. That is going to help you as you are tapping. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you say the numbers out loud, say them rhythmically so you can feel the beat. And as you are doing it correctly, each number is set at the foot hits the floor, and this will come in handy later. Trust me for that. Let's move on as we learn 8 note count. This is very simple. I don't want you to look at it as if it's complicated. Just follow the diagram. When your foot goes down, that is because when you talk about 8 notes count, you have 2 of 8 notes in a quarter note. You have 2 of 8 notes in a quarter note. This is 8 notes. You have a flag. Don't forget, it's also called, in British way, it's called a quiver. How do you count it? Because you have half, 2 of it in a quarter note. You have 2 of your quiver or your 8 notes into this. So how to express that is when you put your foot down, this is 1. When you put it up, is half, 1, up, 1. Actually, what you are doing is half, and you can express that in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So what you are doing is half, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. In this case, you have a time signature of 6/8. Time signature of 6/8. And you can have a time signature of 12/8, depending on the pattern of the song. So in this case, your unit, the bottom number is 8, and that is what this is expressing. And it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that is how to count 8 note count. But in case of quarter note, don't forget it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But in case of 8 notes, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that is the difference between a quarter note and an 8 note. What about half notes? When you want to express half notes, because it has a bit value of 2, considering 440 time signature, you have 2 bits for each half note. So in that case, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Half note, because they are 2 beats, are treated a little differently. It is easier to show than to explain. Honestly, it is difficult to explain, but I'm just I hope you are learning 1 or 2 things as I'm explaining. Remember, the sound of the half note in 4/4 time is sustained for 2 beats each. You probably guess the count will look something like that, right? The dash foot shows that the sound is continuous. And you say it rhythmically, and say the 1 and 3 louder than 2. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each half note will have 2 foot taps. For these two measures, you will say rhythmically 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is how to express half. What about whole note? This is very simple. You should be able to figure it out yourself. It means that you say this note for a beat value of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how to express the whole notes. What about the combination of notes where you have half notes, whole notes at the same time? Any combination of notes will be counted similarly. We won't include whole notes in the examples because 4/4 times signature whole notes get the entire measure to themselves. Other meters like 2/4 and 3/4 will be treated the same. The only difference there will be the number of beats in a bar, but since their bottom number is the same, they have the same quarter note as one. As you can see, because of the combination, you have 1 here, you have 2 here. Count the rest. Counting rest is very similar to counting note because rest are silent. Parentheses are used to indicate the silence. As you can see from this slide, you will discover that all these are in parentheses. They're in parentheses, as you can see, and that is signifying rest instead of note. Signifying rest instead of note. And here we have 3 measures with whole, half, and quarter rest. And just for an example, we use the 5-line treble clef tab. And an added help when we count rest out loud is to count them softly with a whisper. Let's say, for example, you want to express or you want to observe this whole rest. This is whole rest. You should be able to recollect that. If you want to count it, since you are not going to be observing any notes per se, you are not calling any note per se, you are not saying any note, what you can do to help is to count the rest with a whisper. Like this, for example, this is a whole rest and has you are going to say it for 4. So this will be, that is for a whole rest. For half rest, while this is a quarter rest, and it's going to be 1 per each. That is how to express it. So let's say, for example, you are playing a musical piece and you see rest. Instead of you to sing it or to say, what you do is to whisper or to call it inside of you. Do, do. Let's move on as we talk about notes, rest, and their count in 4/4 time. You should be able to practice this on your own. Let's try and do it. This is, for example, let us say you want to do this, you want to express these notes. What you do is to do, let me try it so that you can see, let me do it so that you can see. Being able to read rhythms is one of the most valuable skills you can have as a musician, and this counting system combined with the foot tap will help you figure out how a rhythm sounds. Let's try and do it. This is fa, sol, la, sol, mi, la. Let's do it again. Fa, sol, la, sol, mi, la. Let's do it again. Fa, sol, la, sol, mi, la. Let's move on as we learn other things. But before that, you should be able to answer these self-assessment questions if you have been able to follow up. The first one is count. The count of any measure in any time signature or meter begins with what number? How is a measure of quarter notes in 3/4 time counted? How is a measure of half notes in 4/4 time counted? How is a whole note counted in 4/4 time? When writing out a counting, what is used to indicate a rest? And lastly, when counting out loud, how should you count a rest? I hope you'll be able to answer that. You can pause this video so that you can get the question and you answer it. I want to advise that you answer it, and after that, you check these answers to the self-assessment questions. Let's move on as we talk about dotted note. But before we go into others, let's first of all treat that of the dotted whole note. Those dots you see behind some note are supposed to be there. A dot just to the right of a note makes the note longer. How much longer? Well, it depends on what note that follows. Let us explain that. Let me explain that. A dot adds half the amount of the note it follows. Please take note of that statement. A dot adds half of the amount of the note it follows. So if you have a dot with a particular note, what the dot does is to add half of that note to that particular note. Another, perhaps simpler way of saying it is that a dotted note is 1.5 times the length of the same kind of note without the dots. But that may be a bit challenging for you. But the first statement is very simple and straightforward, that it does add half of the amount of the note it follows. You might be saying there are only 4 beats in the measure. Well, for 4/4 time, you're right. So let's try this simple one. Let me illustrate it for you so that you can get it. A whole note that is dotted as you know, gets 4 beats. But how did that happen? You know, a whole note under 4/4 time signature has a bit value of 4. It has a bit value of 4. But what happens when it is dotted? And this is what happens. When you want to dot this whole note, what you do is to divide the value of this particular note, whole note, into 2. You divide it into 2. When you do that, you will obtain 2, because 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. Now, after obtaining your 2, which is the division of 4 by 2, you will now add this particular 2, you will add it to the note you are dotting, the value of the note you are dotting, and that is going to give you 4 plus 2, making what? Making 6. That is very simple. So a whole note, as you know, get 4 beats. Half of that is 2 for a total of 6. So what you do, it's just a simple calculation. Okay, what about when you dot a quarter note? What about when you dot a quarter note? But before we go to that, let us go on to see an example of what we are talking about. If you dot this particular whole note, you get 6. That is why this is 6. It means that in a bar, do not forget, you have 6 beats, while the quarter note takes 1. Therefore, you have 6 beats in a bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that shows a 3 measure with a dotted whole note. That is how to count it. What about dotted half notes? A more common type of dotted note is the dotted half note. How long is a dotted half note? Just let's use the formula. That is, what you do for the half note, you know that originally, considering 4/4 time signature, the half note has two bit values. Now, do not forget that I said if you want to dot it, what it means when you dot a note is that you divide that particular note, the bit value of the particular note, by 2, and that is going to give you 1. And you now add that 1 to the original value of the notes. That gives you dotted half notes, and that is going to give you what? That's going to give you 3. That's going to give you 3. It's just a simple mathematical calculation. And if you want to express this is going to give you 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's move on as we learn the dotted quarter note. This might seem a bit difficult, but it's not difficult. Although here things it may seem to be a little bit tricky, but it's still not too tough. A quarter note gets 1 bit, considering 4/4 time signature. Half of that is half of the bit, or let me illustrate that. Now you have the quarter note. Originally in a 4/4 time signature, for quarter note, don't mind my diagram. In a quarter note for 4/4, you have 1 bit value for a quarter note. Now if you dot it, you should be able to try this on your own. If you dot it, it means that what you are saying is that you are first of all dividing the value of the bit, which is 1, by 2. You divide it by 2, giving you half. Gives you half. If you divide 1 by 2, you get half. Then you add it to the bit value. I hope you have learned 1 or 2 things in these video lessons, and I hope that you will continue to learn more as you repeat the previous video lectures and this particular one. I pray that the Lord will bless you and the Lord will increase you in knowledge and in all other aspects according to His will. Thanks for listening. God bless you.